I started collecting around this time last year in March. That's when I got the whole idea to, start collecting physical copies of some of my favorite music. Since I was beginning to listen to a lot of new music, and I really liked a lot of it, I thought it would be cool to have, physical copies and say, oh yeah, I own this, it's mine. I just see like pictures shared like in Discord or something of like, oh look at this stuff I got recently at the record store. And it's obviously CDs or cassettes or of course records that of some albums that they got that they really like, and I'm just like, you know what, that sounds interesting. Seems like a fun way to spend my time.
I've been collecting ever since I was 14 or 15 years old. I can still remember the very first records I bought was Frank Zappa's Freak Out and Andy Warhol Presents The Velvet Underground. It was the album that has a banana that you can actually peel. So when I was a child, the whole thing was, since you're starting off, you have nothing. So you want to acquire the things you love. And with physical media, you have them, and it kind of becomes part of your life. People come over to your place. And in the old days, people would look and, oh, you got this album, cool, and we would talk about it. It would spur conversation.
People can recommend you stuff. You can go to your friends and be like, well, yo, check out this cool new album I got on record, and if it's a rare one that maybe cost a pretty penny or something, like $75, then it's like, yo, I got this original first press of an album I really like, or that I think you'll like, and then you listen to it together, and it's just like magic.
You would go out and you would find people, you would meet new friends, you'd go to the record store, hang out there, and you'd meet people who like the same type of music you did.
When I walked into a record store for the first time, I felt excitement because I was gonna get my first record, obviously, and you gotta kind of choose what will be my first purchases, because you will probably remember those purchases, like, oh yeah, this was the first one that I bought,
In the 1960s, when I was in high school, of course, at that time, you started getting Tower Records, The Warehouse, and The Record Factory. Those were the four big ones, and they were all on Bascom Avenue, and those are gone now. But fortunately, there are still places like Rasputin's, Amoeba, and of course, certainly Streetlight Records that sells physical media. Thank goodness for those.
I took an odd path to the record store. When I was in college, I was originally planning on working in advertising, and then I switched my major to journalism, and I found that I really liked radio. And then I got involved in the college radio station, which led me to a whole world of music that I knew nothing about, and it just blew my mind. And when I graduated from college, I thought, okay, I'll just go work at the record store while I figure out what I want to do with my life. And here we are, 30 years later. The vinyl resurgence has been huge. We see all sorts of people coming into the record store that didn't used to shop here. Young people, it used to be more of a middle-aged and older, more male than female. That has changed. It's really just kind of blown it wide open for us.
I'm always excited when I see younger people going into a record store. It always depresses me when I just see people my age, because then as soon as we die out, that's going to be the end of the business.
I think that streaming and downloading has definitely changed our industry. It has changed the experience of how we consume music. I mean, one thing that's been lost is the ritual especially with a record, but of a CD too. You go buy it at the store, you come home, you unwrap it.
You can look at the cover. It has art. And you know, back in the old days when they actually did albums, they would hire artists to do the cover art.
I've bought a few records at least just based on the artwork, like, wow, this looks really cool, you know?
That experience, of course, is missing in downloading or in streaming. And I do think there's a sense of connection between people that's lost when you don't have physical goods. When you just press a button or type, program something in.
If you have streaming, you could just talk to Siri or whatever and say, play me Monk's music, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
In show business and music, you're playing a lot of local music. If you're performing, physical product is very important. Streaming music pays very little. Whereas if you produce your own CDs and t-shirts and hats, cup holders, the things bands do to try and enhance their revenues.
A lot of obscure artists, or lesser known artists, will put out their stuff online, and not all record stores pick up on what is being put out online because, the artist isn't big enough, or there might be a limited quantity. That's the case for a lot of things that come from Bandcamp or something.
I'm on a record, a 33.5 RPM long playing vinyl record. I played some harmonica on for my friend Jeffrey Halford. There's a niche market for vinyl. People are buying vinyl again. It's because they enjoy having the physical product.
I think as long as the bands keep producing physical media, it'll perpetuate itself because people always want something tangible. I think no matter, even when we get into the space age and we're all transporting ourselves electronically, I think we'll still want something we can hold on to.
I think it's just special how artists can connect with lyrics or their personality or something, or the type of music they make to the listener, and give them that special kind of bond. American Idiot is kind of a very special album to me. When I hold it in my hands and I put it on the record player and listen to it, it kind of it makes me feel way more sentimental about it, and it makes me reflect on life, of how life was when I first heard this album, and compared to listening to it digitally, oh yeah, these songs sound nice, and I like this album, but holding it, it's a piece of my childhood sentimentally attached to me through physical existence.
I do think there's a huge personal aspect to having physical product. It does connect you with the artist. I mean, the artist had a hand in deciding not only what that music sounds like that you're listening to, but also what the packaging looks like. I mean, that's really personal. It's a really personal expression of art.
It's really more and more and more on the artist to do every aspect of the operation within the band or yourself. Conversely, you get to keep whatever you make. I think physical product is always going to be around. Vinyl has come back. Audiophiles insist that there's a certain quality of depth of sound that seems to pick up with the analog on that little needle going through the groove. I still have a CD player.
I think CD and vinyl will be around at least until global warming, just destroys everything.
Before it melts all
Yeah, everything just melts down and is, we're all drowned in the rising tides of the ocean.
Two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Why aren't you filming?
The only girl I ever loved was born with roses in her eyes. But then they buried her alive. What do you think? 1945 with just her sister at her side.